Hey everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine alongside Jeff Hawkins, live on YouTube and also on the Patreon if you're listening later. And Jeff, our first weekly live show. We've done a few of these in the past, but now it's going to be a regular thing. And I wish we had a better show to talk about, but we'll try to make it entertaining for all the good folks out there.
What you all don't see is the cramming right before when it goes
Yeah.
30 seconds to air.
Just a reminder to everyone, if you want to participate in the chat, by all means, send us your comments. And if you do a super chat, we'll make sure and prioritize that and get your question up there right away. Or if I recognize you from the Patreon, we'll try to get that in as well, because we want to thank our paying customers. But other than that, like if you just have comments, we'll post them if they seem appropriate to the conversation. But yeah, if you want a super chat, I mean, you can ask us about anything. Ask Jeff about 80s music. Ask me about Ring of Honor. I am a Ring of Honor historian, as the logo says there. And we got a lot of Ring of Honor talk tonight, which we'll get into. But before we go, and for those new to the show, we before we get into Dynamite, we always talk about some general AEW news. And this past week, we had a big Rampage. In fact, it outdrew Collision. Because it wasn't going head to head with SummerSlam. We had the parking lot brawl with the Blackpool Combat Club and the Best Friends. And Jeff, what did you think about that?
I mostly enjoyed it. It's one of those things where it's very cotton candy-ish in that you kind of forget it about 30 seconds after you watch it. I think my favorite part was
I can tell you what my favorite part is, but I'll hear yours.
Did they put a call out for extras for this one? Because I
think so.
I laughed at that part. It's like, well, we need people to be pretending they're watching a street fight here, and it's almost as if they got Jimmy Valiant's Street People from NWA 1985 or so to watch this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I admittedly did not watch the whole thing. I watched bits and pieces of it.
Well, I watched the whole show, and I mean, I don't remember anything else on the show. I hated it, but I was going to hate it. I knew I was going to hate it. But what I just don't like, I'd rather just have them have a match, like if it was a hardcore match in the ring, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I just don't see the point of having a parking lot brawl.
I'm going to be this guy, Paul.
Okay.
I don't think the stipulation was earned.
Well, yeah. I mean,
is the Best Friends feud against the Blackpool Combat Club big enough where we need this kind of plunder match? Or was this just, oh, hey, remember that Proud and Powerful match? Yeah, that was cool. Let's do it again. See,
I think little column A, little column B.
To me, this wasn't a blood feud.
Well, I think it's supposed to be. I'm just not sure if it's connecting that way. Like it started at Blood and Guts, and in the end, and we had some involvement here because Pac was on the Blackpool Combat Club team, and he walked on his team. So now Blackpool Combat Club is mad at Death Triangle, of which they're
keep going.
Actually, I kind of lost it.
Yeah, exactly. It has nothing to do with. It's like, this ties to Blood and Guts.
Yeah. What? I don't know. Well, because we had that three-way match next week.
We had that three-way tag match that led to the three-way individual thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I mean, basically what this is to try and get the Moxley-Orange Cassidy feud.
Yeah. Which honestly, I like when they originally set that up and you had Moxley come in and he's going after Orange. And to me, that was great. Let's just feud these two.
All we needed to do was keep on having the Blackpool Combat Club beat the crap out of the Best Friends wherever they went. Yeah. They'll be in a locker room. Blackpool Combat Club walk in, beat the tar out of them. Keep doing that until the Best Friends get so sick of it that they say, "That's it. I want a parking lot brawl."
Or like a backstage brawl or something.
Yes.
But what I did my favorite part, and anybody that's watched this show or listened to this show would know this. My favorite part was when Mox destroyed Sue's van.
Yes, of course,
I love that. Because
you hate moms.
Not moms in general, just Sue.
Just Sue. I got Sue.
I'm like the one person in the world.
The best
Everyone else
in the Best Friends. What are you doing?
Oh, come on, dude. Her acting when no.
That's better than Trent. Come on.
Well, okay. Yeah, that was something. And and they just kind of rolled in, and I was reminded of History of the World. Only a miracle can save us now.
Miracle.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a match that happened, but I mean, it did a good number for Rampage, and like I said earlier, it beat Collision, because Collision was going head to head with SummerSlam and was head to head with UFC, and on the same night as Jake Paul and Nick Diaz. So and they had like a pretty good show, on paper. I'm not sure if it ended up as good as I was expecting it to be going in, but it was fine. We had a really fun FTR against Big Bill and Brian Cage.
Love that match.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, it was not, it wasn't a 5-star classic or anything, but it was a fun match. It was exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big Bill and Cage need to be a team. Like they're awesome. Yeah.
We need Hoss teams.
Yeah.
In this company, and they're a perfect Hoss team.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna get our Wardlow and Hobbs team. This one will do.
And we got our 20-minute main event with CM Punk, against Ricky Starks. Maybe a little long, but I enjoyed it. And
an impressive beatdown on a 70-year-old man after.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I almost thought we were gonna get Ricky Starks and Ricky Steamboat. I'm like, geez, take my money. Like, yeah. I think Ricky will have I think the two Rickies would have a great match with each other.
Steamboat refused to do the Flair's last match.
Yeah.
But I'm not so certain he would refuse to do a match with Starks.
Maybe, or, maybe he does a match with Sting.
There was one negative that stuck out to me on this Collision show that I want to talk about.
Okay, I had one as well, so you do yours first.
It goes to what is the point of ROH in general, and also on Honor Club, because we just had a few weeks of story where we were rehabbing Diamante as a babyface.
Oh, on Ring of Honor, really?
On Ring of Honor to go up against Athena.
Oh, I had no idea.
And she just lost to Athena. 2 nights later, comes out back to being a heel all over again. So what was the point of all that?
They just assume nobody saw it, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, no, that's fine. If you want to say it doesn't matter, that's fine. So why watch? It doesn't matter. And you know what? If that's the way you're going to treat your shows, your B shows and your C shows as well, then why should anybody watch? And that's that's the TV writer in me. Kind of a thing going, hey, look, we scripted all this and we took care of this character for a while to port them over into another storyline or whatever. And then we just forget everything about that.
Well, when I saw her come out, I was like, Diamante? Really? She's making the save? I haven't seen her in, I don't know, a year.
I was thinking, okay, we built her up on Ring of Honor television. She's coming out to make the save, and then we'll get Athena in there, and then it'll be Athena and Mercedes versus Diamante and Chris Statlander.
Oh, that would be good.
Well, no, because we had Willow involved. So
that could be all right too.
We'll probably get somebody. And see, this is where you can see the booking.
Yeah.
In front of you, where they go, well, Diamante could lose because she hasn't been on AEW television in a while,
and she's Latina, so she can team with Mercedes.
Yes.
And then and then Willow can get the pin, and then she can argue with Chris Statlander after, and they can book a match. And then we're gonna get Willow and Chris Statlander at Wembley. That's going to be the match. It's not going to be Statlander. It's not going to be Mercedes or Diamante.
No.
It's going to be Willow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to argue, because this is the other part of the build to this all-in show that's driving me nuts.
Well, okay.
And none of these are really feuds.
This is going to get to my point.
Okay.
So last week on Dynamite, we got MJF in the segment with Adam Cole basically just say, hey, you're my best friend and you deserve this title shot. And you don't just deserve any title shot. You deserve a shot on the biggest wrestling show of all time. And he gets him to sign the contract. So it's Adam Cole and MJF. So the champion picked his challenger. All these other people that wrestle singles matches, they don't matter. Adam Cole, who I don't remember the last time he won a match, he's getting the world title shot because he's MJF's friend. Okay, that's fine. That didn't even occur to me last week because, I kind of knew it was coming and everything. Then on Collision, FTR wins their match. They've just been defending their belts against everybody. Jay White and Juice Robinson had to take them, had to beat them in a non-title match, to get a title match. And then they do that 58-minute match. And then they get on the mic and they say, We want a match with the Young Bucks at Wembley. Why? Bucks have not wrestled. They even told us tonight they've wrestled 3 tag team matches in the last year. They haven't wrestled a tag team match, I think, in 6 months. And FTR chose them to wrestle on Wembley. So we had 2 matches where the champions chose their challengers, and they weren't anything even resembling the number 1 contenders. And this is for the biggest wrestling show of all time.
You got a third one too. Well, kind of. Not champion calling out challenger, but Joe calling out Punk because a roll-up is not good enough for our legacy.
No, but you know what? That one at least made a little more sense because Joe lost, so now he wants his revenge.
Hold on. Yeah, but Punk's in the middle of a feud with Ricky Starks.
Yeah, well.
That's why it doesn't make any sense.
But
it's also not because I hate you. It's because our legacy is bigger than that. And it's like, that's my problem with all of these.
I didn't like his rationale. The fact he should just said, you beat me and I don't like it.
Yeah, and, I hate you. I want to beat you in front of the biggest crowd ever. Yeah. That's all I want out of these feuds.
You beat me.
Legacy building and it's all we can steal the show type of feuds.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm not, and this is what, I know our fearless leader Garrett hates this, but it's like no matter how bad the build is, the matches are going to be great. So just shut up and watch. Well, like that's what people want to tell us.
Yes, and I get that, but the matches won't be as good as there's no heat in there, and that's for me. For me, they won't. They'll be good to you because
I'm sure they'll be.
Or not you personally, but the generic you who's screaming at us right now will say, well, it was technically sound and it got 4.25 stars from me in my spreadsheet. That's not to get you. That's not to get you. I promise. But it's a well worked match. Who cares? Give me
but I mean, it'll have heat from the crowd, and that's part of it. I mean,
the crowd will play its part. And that's the other part. Is like they're not really cheering and booing. They're playing the role of the audience in the thing. And
I had a question tonight after watching this show, and it came into my head. And I mean, I think it's a very basic question. And maybe this question crossed your mind as well. How in the hell did they sell 80,000 tickets to watch this company based on what they put on the air tonight?
Potential.
Yeah,
that's the way all these cards have always sold out. In terms of that, the ones that have done
anticipation,
the ones that have done poorly are the ones when the company wasn't doing well and nobody was anticipating the card.
Like, it's also, people want to see Kenny Omega. They want to see the Young Bucks. They want to see John Moxley. They want to see CM Punk. They want, Hangman.
They want the super card.
They don't even necessarily want the super card. They want to see the stars.
Yeah.
And they're going to see the stars. So in that sense, you know what? Those 80,000 people, I don't think they're going to be disappointed with this card. I'm not even sure if they're even watching the build. They bought their tickets and they're going to go watch the show.
I think they want Omega and Ospreay.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna get it.
No, it's too bad too because I want to see Omega Ospreay. I kind of want to see Danielson Okada.
Yeah, but New Japan that was never gonna happen because New Japan would say no. That's for us.
Yeah. You're gonna see Omega and Ospreay. You're just not gonna see them against each other.
Right.
Yeah. We're gonna find out what Omega's doing next week, as we found out tonight. All right. The other big news this week was I think it happened after we recorded last week. When Lufisto went on Twitter and basically just kind of talked about her experience in AEW, one time she worked there.
She went to Fightful to talk about it, and then
did she? Okay, did that happen before she went on Twitter?
Yes, and then there was more clarity, I think, on the Twitter thing.
Okay.
I think that was the order of it.
Samantha just points out they are getting the full AEW experience, including the pay-per-view build. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they're okay. But here's the thing: they average like 97,000 fans for an episode of Dynamite. You telling me 80,000 of those 97,000 actually bought tickets, or I think a lot of the people that bought tickets actually don't watch the product.
I think it's a travel show for people in Europe.
I'm sure it is. Yeah. But
it's much like people from New York coming to California to watch WrestleMania. It's one of those types of deals.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people that go to WrestleMania don't watch WWE either. They just go to the big shows.
No.
I think they don't watch the weekly shows. Like, I'm sure they check it out every once in a while.
If you're parents with kids, I think you don't watch it because you're there
Yeah.
for the kids and you're doing that. But no,
But
no.
you're not watching every week, is what I'm saying. Like, you're checking in every once in a while.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe
I
now
would
because the
slightly
ratings
disagree.
are good.
AEW fans love AEW. There's nothing I can say to dissuade them when I'm critical of them, because I can tell, because like I use that solidifying the mid-card joke, and boy, the people listening over on my Voices show were not happy with that
I heard
joke.
about it. Okay, sorry. Back to your point about Lufisto. So she went to Fightful before the tweet.
Yes.
Okay, my bad. I misunderstood.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, my points are the same either way. This is another one where I think the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I think when you walk in to a company like this, which is very reliant on people that are currently in the company for validation, there are going to be times where friendships are tested. There's going to be times where people you worked with, you thought would vouch for you, wouldn't. I think she went in there possibly with an already poisoned environment. See also Punk CM. And I also think she was expecting some things that she didn't get. I think she was expecting that meeting with Tony Khan. I think she was expecting, feedback on her match and, okay, what can I do better to get signed maybe in the future, for you to use me in the future? And they looked at her, and these were people she knew on the way up, and everybody was too busy with their own stuff to talk to her. I think that's a very good possibility. I think there might have been some clickism in here. I also think she might have had a bad attitude. I can see all of these things. And I think the truth is somewhere very much in the middle. And now we're getting like a Rashomon type thing where it's like, well, everybody sees this kind of different. And, this joke about French Canadians from Dustin might have been, some needling humor that was taken as offense by her.
Yeah.
Types of things. I think the bad part was all of AEW coming out on Twitter to respond to this.
The way it happened, and the timing, and just how it was one after the other, and it was within like a 2-hour period of each other. Like, I don't know that it was coordinated. It came off like it was coordinated.
It came off as it was coordinated. It came off as thin-skinned. It came off as, we need to nip this in the bud for PR reasons. And I think it made the PR worse. I think Tony should have said, don't anybody say anything about this.
Some of the early ones I thought were good, like where they jumped to the defense of Ruby and, just saying, I didn't mind it but when MJF comes out and says, essentially the reason that you didn't get signed is because you suck.
Is because you suck. Yeah.
Essentially is what he said,
but it comes off as defensive when our women's division has never been tighter, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but we know that. I mean, the people who are following this know that there have been issues between Britt and Thunder Rosa. They know that there's been issues here and there.
All you have to do is watch All Access to see that.
Exactly. Well, All Access is kind of played up reality, so I don't know if that is real. But it's one of those things where it's like, when you remember the controversy about the Cody documentary when they said it was a secondary company, and even though it's factually true, Hunter lives rent free inside Tony's head. That's what this felt like. It's not like any criticism. Just ignore it, and then everything's on her to have to prove this stuff, or at least to go on and let her blow off the steam if she felt hard, and handle this stuff behind the scenes, for God's sake.
But as soon as she came out with what she did, I mean, you're gonna have one side that says, see, we told you, they're all messed up, they don't know what they're doing. And then you're gonna have the other side that says, who's Lufisto? She's, who is she? She's just bitter that she never got a shot, blah, blah, blah. Like that, it just amps up the tribalism. And then what ends up happening is you ignore the real issue, which is that we've been talking about for weeks, that Sam, who's watching right now, and Mel are talking about, that other people are talking about, that AEW has an issue with the way they book their women's programs.
Oh, okay. Hold on, though. But they have a bigger problem here, because this is a problem that can't be solved in the court of public opinion. This is this is the she said type of thing. So
and everyone's tribalistic and getting their like
everyone's tribalistic, but this is such a 5% of the fan base problem that then gets amplified to 15% once you start fighting it on Twitter. This stuff doesn't happen in WWE all that much. There are the occasional stand-up for WWE coordinated PR type crap with their Twitter, but you're not supposed to go on and air the dirty laundry out there. And a stronger management would say, don't air our dirty laundry in public.
Or run it by us. Like, because they did do some stuff. I
wouldn't even say that.
Well, no, but they did do some stuff, in WWE, to be fair, with, Becky complaining about not being on SummerSlam, Rhea, and complaining. But I think it seemed like that the company may have been on board with some of that. Like,
Becky's complaining about not being on SummerSlam was a work.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
okay.
And Rhea as well. Like, Rhea was posting about Rita's not doing that without being okayed. And it's like, we'll just, we'll stir the pot a little bit and get people talking. And then what we've ended up seeing now is we had a couple weeks ago, the week of Blood and Guts, we had that 30-second Britt Baker match just out of nowhere. And then the next week we get that sign that shows up on the screen, book the women's division better. And then the next 2 weeks, we have women in the main event of Dynamite.
Yes.
Which, hey, great. Like that's a thing. But the people that are wanting it to fail will point out that the women's main event last week was the lowest rated segment on the show. And I would not be surprised if tonight is the same.
I will go one better. This is not better booking of the women. This is better match placement.
They are booking the women better, though. But I think if you look at it, I'm not talking about the main events, but we're seeing more segments on the show. We saw a Tony Storm interview on Collision that had nothing to do with anything else on the show. So that's good. Yes. We saw Chris Statlander wacky promo on Rampage where she was, I didn't like either one of these promos, but I liked the fact that they happened, if that makes sense.
Right. But those are also not on Dynamite necessarily, which is your show. But also my point is, booking is more than matchmaking.
Yes, absolutely.
It's angle building, and there was nothing to this match other than as Twitter called them, Tournament Tony strikes again.
Sky Blue, Anna Jay got a title match because she beat Sky Blue on Rampage.
Right, and then this was part of a tournament to get into a 4-way.
Yeah.
And yes, Sam, book Emmy. Don't appeal to my personals here. But there was there was that, but it was like, okay, there was no personal issue between Anna and Hikaru Shida. Thank you. For some reason the name blanked on me. That's the problem is we're doing these like 1 week stories. And that's not good booking to me. This tournament here is in service, as you can see the cynicism in it, to get Saraya on the card for Wembley, which is fine. Yeah, but there's no reason to do this tournament. Nobody's told us why we're doing a 4-way.
Okay, you know what would be better booking? I'll tell you this. And again, it may not be a better card, but it would be better booking. You could have Hikaru Shida and Tony Storm do a rematch. You could spend the next 3 weeks building it up.
Yes.
You could have Britt Baker and Saraya do a singles match.
Yes.
Because they've been building that up for 6 months.
Yes, those two things make sense. Instead, we're gonna cram it all in.
We're gonna have a 4-way, and because AEW has a rich history of 4-way tag team matches in all their big events, and we'll show you some highlights of all these now. And you know what? You've also got to highlight a series of great singles women's matches too.
And we also won't have to ruin the Outcasts as a stable to do it, which they're going to have to do in this 4-way.
Well, they've kind of done it. Tony Storm did a promo on Collision. Seems like Outcasts are done.
Yeah,
she's now Betty Davis in A Star Is Born. Or what's that movie?
You're thinking Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset Boulevard,
But that's not Betty Davis.
Oh, okay. What character is she playing? I've seen this movie.
Norma Desmond.
Maybe. Norma. Yeah. What is it? Sunset Grill?
No, it's Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset Boulevard. Okay.
Sunset Grill is a song by Don Henley.
I know. I'm old, man.
Let's go down to the Sunset Grill and watch the girls go by.
Okay, before we get into Dynamite, I have to ask you something.
Okay.
And have you been on the Discord today?
Desmond was played by Gloria Swanson.
Have you been on the Discord today?
A little bit.
Okay. Did you listen to our friend David Lovell's music show with Larry Sternstein, who I know watches and listens to the shows occasionally? They do a music show, and it was 80s music from
I
last
listened to the
night.
80s one, but he wasn't on the show.
I think you listened to the night before.
Okay.
So they're introducing Rick Astley's song. And David says, "Don't worry, fans, we're not going to Rickroll you." And then Larry makes a joke about Rickrolling. And I'm like, I comment because we have a little chat group going. And I said, I've never heard that term before, Rickroll. Do you know what Rickroll means?
Yes.
Okay. See, you're giving me the exact look I was expecting you to. I have no idea. So I asked my wife. I asked 4 different people I work with. Not a single one of them has ever heard that term. Now, when I explained to them what it was, then they, oh yeah, I mean, I've seen the meme, I've seen the joke, but I didn't know I had a name. I asked my kids, who are, from 21 to 32. Every one of them, except for one, who is online constantly, who's on Reddit constantly, who's on YouTube, he's a gamer. He knew what it was, but nobody else did. And I just felt like the dumbest person in the world that I've never heard this term before today. Rickroll.
Oh, dude, it's almost passe at this point.
Well, yeah, I know, because it started like 17 years ago or something.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it didn't get to the third world in Canada.
Yeah, I guess. But my friend Sebastian's in Canada, and he knew what it was, and his daughter rickrolls him all the time.
The best one was at its peak at the Macy's Day Parade. The Sesame Street float rickrolled the entire crowd by having.
Ashley, well, I think the best one, because I did some research on this. The best one was when Rick Astley was doing an AMA, and someone said, "Oh, I met you and so, and I got a great picture. I want to post a link to it." So he posted the link, and Rick Astley clicked on it, and he got rickrolled.
Rickrolled, yeah,
yeah. And then the other one. So
don't go too far down this road, man. Yeah. But you lit up the chat by doing this.
There you go. This is what we do. Yeah, well, see, okay, and this is where I didn't get it. So Dave Herrera says that he remembers duck rolling, and this is where it originated.
I've never heard of duck rolling.
Well, I didn't either, and because it originated on 4chan, which I've also never heard of, which apparently was a big internet website that people got memes off of. I think, yes. Right? Yeah. So yes. I never went there. I wasn't online a lot in the first part of this decade. I was working and sleeping, basically, and watching wrestling.
It's not even the first part of this decade. It's the last 5 years, Paul.
Well, the first part of this millennium, like 2000 to 2010. I was not really online that much, believe it or not. Fair. But the season finale of the second season of Ted Lasso, they sang "Never Gonna Give You Up." And I guess it was an example of rickrolling, but I just thought, oh, they like the song. And I didn't realize it was what it was. So I don't know, just a sidebar. I kind of wanted to talk about that, and I should have done it at the beginning, but I didn't.
Probably.
Hey, you know what? It got the chat going. So, and everyone knows they can laugh at me for being an old man. And
yes.
Yeah. Except again, my 25-year-old kid, I asked him, "Do you know what rickrolling is?" And he's like, "I think so." And then I was like, "Okay, so what is it?" He's like, "Well, it's kind of like when you like mug someone, right?"
It's pranking. It's
no. He thought it was like rolling.
Like roll, like yeah. Like when you get rolled for money.
Yes, that's what he thought it was. But then when I explained it, he's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that. I just didn't know it was called rickrolling." So if you had just called it ricking or assleying, then I would have got it. Oh, and take it back to wrestling. Larry, who started this,
you went all the way around.
No, WWE got rickrolled.
Yes.
Which again, I remember it happening. I just didn't know it was called rickrolling. When Vince McMahon called, I just thought, man, what an idiot. He could have won $1 million, and instead he decided to play a Rick Astley song. But now I'm thinking maybe WWE set that up to play off of the Rickrolling that was going on at that time. And, a few people there. Maybe that's what happened.
I'm not going to ask.
Anyways, I've been avoiding this Dynamite show, and we got to talk about it. Talk about it. So
this first hour of Dynamite belonged in a mausoleum.
Oh, AEW Dynamite took place in Columbus, Ohio, which I don't recall if they're typically a hot crowd or not. But if they were hot, let's say they taped some Ring of Honor matches before the show and they're really hot, and sometimes the show starts and the crowd is just going nuts, and the show starts and Jericho Appreciation Society's in the ring. No Jericho. They bring out Jericho. We're having, what the hell did they call it?
Intervention.
Yeah, the no.
Yes.
The mandatory meeting. That's what they called it. That was what this one was called. They've done an intervention before. This was the mandatory meeting. So anyways, they call out Jericho. He comes out, does his full entrance with the Judas. And the crowd, singing along. They're all into this and whatever. And then the show ground to a halt as some of the worst promo people in the business decided to cut promos. And we got...
Hold on, let me defend the good ones. I thought 2.0 and Sammy were quite good.
Yeah. I mean, they started bad and got better.
Yes.
Danny Garcia starts and he says, it's good. Well, Jericho actually starts. And then Danny Garcia says, like, stop talking and listen. He says, I'm mad because I got in your head with a baseball bat. I got hit in the head with a baseball bat and I was taking advantage of him. I says, I chose you over my heroes. Why didn't you choose us? Because you're not choosing me. I can't do this anymore. And he dances in his face and he drops the mic and leaves.
Yes. So, let's stop right here.
Okay.
So what has been the point of Daniel Garcia, sports entertainer? Because to me, this appears much like who will get a rub from feuding with me is Ricky Starks as a babyface. I am so frustrated right now because Daniel Garcia was hot.
Yeah.
And it was ready to turn him back to a killer wrestler.
Do you remember what I said should have happened 2 years ago?
Did they get this dancing fool?
He should have been in the Blackpool Combat Club.
Well, yes, but remember, Jericho called dibs.
Yeah. And for what?
For this. For this crap. I'm more upset about this than anything. Because I'm just like, there's now no natural progression other than to just completely reboot Daniel Garcia. And I don't think they're gonna. I think it's gonna be some outpost of the JAS where he's still dancing to get over.
I still think we might get the Jack Appreciation Society.
We might. We haven't seen any hints of that though, which is also somewhat frustrating.
Other than Anna Jay and 2.0 are still together. Which
all right, now you can move on to the next.
Okay, so Jake's next. And he says, I'm not surprised. You made me a lot of money, but if we have to cut ties, it's okay. We have option. Everyone knows I liked that hat. And then the announcers point out that he said liked, in the past tense. And he says, I do not appreciate Jericho anymore. And he walks off. And that's it. Like, and it's fine. I mean, it was,
not, look, he's never been Mr. Charisma.
But the crowd was dead.
I was fine with this.
The crowd was dead.
Yes, this should not have been the segment to when AEW loves starting every show with a match.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with looking pretty haggard Chris Jericho. And this thing, which wasn't that compelling, but I'll get to my final thoughts after we get through everybody because I got comments on everybody. Go.
And the few times that they have started to show off with a segment like this, it's been like something hot. It's been like MJF or something, Blackpool Combat Club, Danielson,
something main event, not this.
And then so Jericho says, before this gets out of control, he says, your careers are all better off since you joined me. Anna, you got a championship tonight. Ty, you're a bigger star now. And then Tay interrupts him, and oh my God.
God bless Ty Conti. or Ty Guevara, or whatever we're calling her now. As I say, it's fun to watch her translate her promo into something that's her second language and then try and match the emotion, which is trying to catch up desperately with the promo. You got a grade on a curve with Ty. I'm sorry.
I used to be proud, not no more. Right now I feel sick. And I'm not even talking about the baby. It seems like you can't make a decision. You know what? I will go have this baby and come back and be a champion without you and your damned help because I quit. That about nail it?
Yes.
Okay. Then Anna Jay says, you've helped us all out, but you helped yourself out more than anyone. Tonight's about me. I'm being selfish, and I learned that from the best. Tonight is about winning the world championship, and it's not about appreciating you. And she drops off the mic, and she grabs Tay's hand, and they walk off together, just like they came into this as best friends. And the crowd silent.
Anna Jay's delivery stiffer than her punches.
Yes. So now we're left with, I believe it's just Sammy left.
No, 2.0. We got 2.0.
Oh, sorry, 2.0. You're right.
Who are quite good, I thought.
Yeah. So Parker says, I can't speak for anyone else. I don't want to be doing this. I love being a sports entertainer. When you asked me to join the Jericho Appreciation Society, I took it as a badge of honor, did everything to make you proud of me, gave you my blood, fought a battle that you picked. I give you everything, but what have you given me? Chris, I don't want to do this, but you give me no choice. I got nothing left to give you, man. And he walks out. Perfect. Like, for what this was. I mean, again, no reaction. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
not a single person cares about.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Just keep going.
All right, and then we get Matt Menard, and Menard had some actual.
Matt had some passion here.
This guy was my childhood hero. At 15, I bought a Jericho T-shirt with my first paycheck. When my wife was 8 months pregnant and I had no job, he invited me into his home and he brought me to AEW, took me under his wing. The last 18 months have been a dream for me, but it's never sat right with me. Guys like Kingston, Steen, they hate you guys. Now I understand. And he put the mic down and walked out. I don't really understand why he hates Jericho.
That was a cliffhanger that I thought that was going to get a follow-up. It's like, now I know why.
Yeah.
Bye.
No. Yeah. So it's just him and Sammy left. And the announcers point out Sammy was the first guy with them and he's the last one here. And Jericho's about to talk and Sammy smacked the mic out of his hand and he says, I've always had your back. I went to challenging the world title to fighting for one of your battles. I put Sting through a table because of you. I didn't want to do it. I'm loyal. I'm not going to walk out on you because you're my friend. Keep that in mind. Yeah, deep down, I always thought you'd do those things for me. Maybe I was wrong. Seems like you got some stuff to work out. If you do, maybe I'll be here. And then he walked out after telling him he wasn't going to walk out on him. He got a pop. No one else did, but Sammy's a little bit over.
But Sammy was good here. Look, if we're going to have everybody quit on him, this needs to be done in pieces and over a few weeks or a few shows, and that's fine.
Backstage, maybe?
This should have been an en masse quitting, and then everybody walks off.
Yeah.
We don't need everybody's individual thing here, because really, who cares if Ty Conti's leaving? I mean, I like her. Don't get me wrong. She hasn't been on TV in a while, and she's pregnant. Okay.
You want to know what the most frustrating part of all this was?
There was no reaction from Chris.
No, because next week they're going to get back together.
Probably. No. I think.
Well, I mean, we might get your thing.
Sammy's going to make the save.
Yeah, we might get your thing about maybe Garcia and Hager joining somebody's going to join Callis' family. But it could be that.
No. I'll tell you what it's going to be when we get to the Callis part of this.
Well, that's next. That's next.
But this thing, it's like, why do we need everybody's individual thing if we're doing? Because I was thinking intervention. And in the intervention, then the target of the intervention is then allowed to speak and make amends or whatever. None of that. Everybody just left his ass in the ring. Yeah.
And he didn't even have an answer for any of them. He's like, yeah. I mean, he might as well just said, yeah, you're right.
Just kind of went, oh, well, I'm going to go back to the back.
Got me there.
Yeah. And then we'll get to.
So they go to break. They come back and Renee finds Jericho just walking in the hall, casually strolling, deep in thought. And before she can ask him anything, Callis finds him and he says, hey, I'm sorry if I played any role in this, which I thought was hilarious because he caused the whole thing. And Jericho says, I made up my mind and I got an answer, but let's announce it next week. And Callis is like, yeah, okay, great. I'll get it all set up. It'll be great. I mean, the way that happened, he's not joining, right?
He's either not joining or he's happy to join, and then Don goes, we don't want a loser like you.
That could be.
And then whoever his people are beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, it could be either one of those. I'm thinking maybe
Sammy's making the save here.
I'm thinking maybe he says he's not joining, and then 2.0 comes in, and we have some sort of maybe an internal, like maybe some of JAS is with him and some is with Jericho, or
I would hope if you're going to do this, look, no offense.
Well, the rumor is Jericho and Ospreay at Wembley. I have no idea how we're getting there in 10 days
because I think it's going to be Ospreay and Aussie Open, who are his family now, along with Takeshita.
Except Aussie Open is booked, as we'll find out later.
Well, they are booked, but I mean, that doesn't mean they can't be the family.
True.
And I mean, I would much rather Garcia and Hager be part of this family because they're at least a little bit more serious than 2.0. Yeah. I'm not sure you can completely rebook guy who asks what makes his nipples hard.
Could definitely be Garcia.
Yeah.
That would actually be a good fit. So we'll find out next week what's happening there. We got an FTR video package from Collision, and it showed the challenge to the Bucks. And then we got the Bucks and the Hardy Boys.
What's left of the Hardy Boys, yeah.
This was the absolute worst Young Bucks match I've ever seen. I'm prone to hyperbole for those that may be watching for the first time, but I don't think I'm wrong. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It was like they were in slow motion. The crowd didn't
Hardys
care.
went out there and said, "We're going to carry these guys to a decent match."
Yeah. Yeah, they did a WWE match. I mean, for the most part, in slow motion. Yeah. Dan points out that this would have been fine 15 years ago in their prime. I mean, 5 years ago. I mean, they had a great match at Ring of Honor. I am a Ring of Honor historian.
Matt did his best, and Jeff was there.
Yeah. And you know what? Normally, like, there are spots that normally get pops. Like, Matt did his thing where he bangs the guy in the delete. No reaction. Nothing. Jeff did his swanton thing. That got a bit of a pop.
Jeff did Will-O-the-Wisp, and then they didn't catch him, which is, par for the course.
Then when the Bucks did their moves, the crowd popped for that.
Yes.
Like, so they were into the Bucks. But the Bucks were moving at.
This didn't feel like it had the stakes of a dream match, and it felt like it was going through. It felt like it was going through the motions, quite frankly. And I think the crowd responded aptly.
Okay, you know what? How about on
how about we build it?
How about on Saturday when FTR did their promo, instead of just telling us that they're going to face the Bucks.
We're going to face the winners of the Hardys. And
we have two of the best tag teams of the last 20 years wrestling each other on Dynamite next week.
Yes.
And we want the winners of that match, and we're going to face you and determine who's the best tag team of all time.
Oh, AEW loves doing this where they WCW used to do this in the latter state, or once the Nitro era started, and we used to drive me crazy. It's like, well, tonight we're going to have a title match between Hogan and La Parka.
Yeah.
But Hogan's facing so-and-so on the pay-per-view. It's like, well, why isn't the winner of La Parka and Hogan facing?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what they did with the women tonight.
Yes.
But I mean, even besides that point, like, we didn't even have the match yet.
No.
So at this point, like, the Bucks haven't even wrestled. We've been told they haven't even had a single match, and FTR challenged them. Meanwhile, they could have had, like, and the Bucks did a backstage promo saying they're back in the tag team division on Rampage. They booked this match, the Bucks and the Hardys, and they could have said, like, FTR's watching, and then they come out and they clap their hands, and then we have like, Bucks say, hey, we beat the Hardys, who are the best tag team of the last generation. Now we're coming for your belts. Like something,
Yes.
Yeah. Instead, they won the match.
You make the world real. That's what you do. I mean,
yeah. They were doing. They tried a shatter machine and didn't get the pin, and they ended up getting the BT trigger on Matt Hardy for the win after the Hardys missed a bunch of their stuff.
Did they try the shatter machine, or was that they had a 3D day?
Well, yeah, they first called it a shatter machine, then they called it a 3D. Then Excalibur says something about how they're paying tribute to a bunch of old tag teams. So here I'm expecting
he didn't want to call it a 3D or a day one because he was afraid of getting sued.
Well, he did call it a 3D.
Well, he eventually called it a 3D when they realized, the Dudley Boys don't wrestle anymore.
Yeah, we're okay for that now. Yeah, Jason points out that this was supposed to be on
Double or Nothing 2022.
Yeah, before Jeff got into his troubles. So they played their music. I didn't even recognize the Young Bucks music. Like, that's how long it's been since we've seen them, because they're usually coming out with the like Carry On Wayward Son. Yeah, or even the old Be Elite, Be the Elite, and this was like some music I didn't recognize. Yeah, bad. It's bad. And so they shook hands and they hugged, and then Nick Jackson got a mic and he says FTR, and the crowd boos, and then out come FTR, and they get face to face. Like, about 9 people chanted "This is awesome," and didn't catch on. And Nick grabs the mic and he says "All in," and he drops the mic, and then FTR held up their belts. Crowd chanted FTR, but then the Bucks music played, and then Tony Schiavone or Excalibur, one of them, points out that Tony Khan just signed the match. And
I hated this.
Yeah, it was.
I wanted a feud. I actually kind of wanted FTR to punch him. Something. Give me something, as opposed to, oh, we're holding the belts up. Oh, it's a dream match. We'll steal the show. Hooray!
Yeah. It's whatever, but it's gonna be. I'm sure the match is gonna be great. So
no, the match will be great. And
so here's where we got the announcement. They showed Shida winning the belt. They showed a bunch of highlights from 4-way matches, including like the very first Pandemic show, with in that empty building and on March 18th, 2020. They said there's going to be a tournament to see who gets into the match, and it starts tonight. So Toni Storm is the previous champion. She gets a bye. And
current champion doesn't get a bye.
No,
previous champion gets a bye.
Yeah. So current champion, she's defending her belt tonight against Sky Blue. The winner of that. Yeah, the winner of that's in the 4-way. Why couldn't they give Toni Storm a match? I guess they only have a certain amount of matches, and they can only have one a show. So we can't have Toni wrestle.
We can't possibly figure out how to do this between 3 shows.
Yeah, that 3. I think they got 5 shows.
3 shows a week. 3 shows
a week. Yeah, so there's 2, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 shows between now and.
There's nobody on the babyface side we can possibly beat here.
No.
To help Toni Storm. Get into the match.
So Saraya and Sky Blue and the Bunny of all people has a chance to wrestle for the world title
here for the Bunny.
Yeah, to wrestle for the world title at Double or Nothing. She's facing Britt Baker. So, I mean, it's going to be Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm, Saraya, and Britt Baker. I mean, if it's not those 4,
I bet we have a tag match to lead up to it.
Perhaps. Yeah. Baker and Shida tagging
and they
with each
can't
other?
Coexist.
Oh, imagine that. Well, yeah, Storm and Saraya are buddies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got highlights of the stuff from last week with Cole and MJF, and then we got a bro session. Oh my God. I didn't like the last one. This one, do not try to tell me this was good. This was awful. Awful. You're biting your tongue. Do you disagree?
I'm going to let you finish.
Okay. So MJF says, we're going out. You got me to dress in shorts. He says, what are we going to do? We're going to go skinny dipping with rats. And Cole says, no, I got something better. And he says, trampoline park, baby. And MJF's like, dude, what the? And then they cut, of course. And they show Cole jumping on trampoline like he's 9. And MJF just got this look on his face, like, what the hell? And then he's like, we got this, we got that, we got dodgeball. And MJF's like, dodgeball? And he's like, I could have went to a bar with a bunch of hot chicks, but instead I got to play with kids. Well, if I'm going to play with kids. So then he starts grabbing balls and he starts nailing little kids. I know I've seen this somewhere, and you'll know where it is. Is it the movie
Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore, right. Okay, so I knew I'd seen this before. He's nailing kids left and right. He's throwing insults at them. He tells one kid he's adopted, says, I slept with your mom. One girl's sitting on her phone. He nails her and knocks her down.
I held to that one. I liked that one.
It was funny, but it's like, what the bleep?
Exactly. It's not supposed to make sense. But
and then a girl came up and told them they're nerds. And then Cole says, you shouldn't talk like that. And she flipped them off. So then Cole basically gave MJF the permission to nail her with a ball as the scene's ending. And I'm like, what in the bloody hell was this?
I'm with you.
Okay. Thank you.
I wanted to keep the tension up before that. But I have to make the devil's advocate case.
All right.
The devil's advocate case here is that they're doing the Rock style comedy from WWE, and that this is the type of personality stuff that to make moments and to get people over. I contend that this was almost akin to Public Enemy training Mikey Whipwreck in ECW. I think this is very mid-card. I don't want my champion doing this. I just want them to be... Look, we can continue the friendly stuff throughout with the building, escalating tension within there. I don't necessarily always want there are exceptions to the rule, but I don't want my mid-card comedy interacting with my main event. And I just, to me, I know that the AEW audience is going to eat this up, much like they ate up the Jericho MJF musical.
Oh,
and other things of that nature. This is their creative instincts for this. I think they're wrong, but I understand the thinking behind it. Let me just state that. But I agree with you. I didn't care for this all that much. It's not what I want. It's not what I had to see the build, and especially the live action response afterwards. Which we'll get into now.
What now? Am I just supposed to ignore the fact that MJF was like beating on children and like nobody did anything about it?
He is a scumbag.
Sure, he's a scumbag, but there are laws.
There are no laws in dodgeball, my friend. If you're gonna play dodgeball against adults,
they were not playing dodgeball.
Some of those children were playing dodgeball. The girl on the phone, admittedly, might have been assault.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
look. I worked at Discovery Zone for a couple of years. Everything was on limits there too.
Was that Christian's daughter that flipped them off? Do we know?
It looked like it. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I don't.
By the way, we did not bring that up on Collision.
Yeah,
5-star promo out of Christian.
Yeah,
asking security to get rid of his daughter.
Yeah, she's not credentialed.
She's now, not when she asked for the title belt.
Now some people are suggesting that because that was the same little girl that Jungle Boy put in his lap last week. I think it's just a coincidence. Like I think they just used her because she was there. Some people are thinking it's an Easter egg that they're going to get back together. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but there's nothing storyline to indicate that.
I think it's just a smartened up child, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because they tell you don't work with children and animals.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and we'll see more from them later. In fact, what they said, we'll hear more, and I'm like, God, not another segment, but at least
I thought there was going to be another dodgeball segment. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, no, they were in the ring for the next part. Now we got a Blackpool Combat Club promo. This was fine, especially by their standards. It was to the point. It was short. He says, wherever the best friends are, we hope they learn their lesson. We sent Sue some flowers. Sorry about what we did to your van. Tonight, Penta and Phoenix challenged us. We expect to win. What we specialize is picking the bones of our kills. Ask your friend, the bastard. And Claudio says, Pac stabbed us in the back and he paid for it. Wheeler says the injury is going to keep him out of Wembley. Oh, poor baby. And Mox and Claudio is like, oh, that sucks. And then Moxie closes by saying, Blackpool Combat Club doesn't fear death. Death fears us. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Claudio definitely taken aback by one of Moxley's lines.
Yeah. The
which I've laughed.
Picking the kill, that one? Or
I think so. Either that or eagle. They say eagles don't snack on flies. Or
yeah.
Like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah. I'm curious. Jeff, who says he loved every minute. I hope he's talking.
Oh no, that's me.
That was you.
I was answering. I was answering Dennis talking about Discovery Zone where children were allowed to reenact the purge.
I'll let you guys have your conversation.
Thank you.
All right. Jack Perry comes out and his beard's growing in, and now he looks like Matt Jackson, like almost exactly like Matt Jackson. RVD comes out to his music.
Starting to look like Trent from a couple of years ago.
A little bit, yeah. Jack's got a new look. He's got full length tights. RVD, he comes out to walk, and the crowd isn't singing his song like they did last week. Oh. So they're either killed, dead, or they just weren't that hot to begin with. They did chant RVD, and Perry attacked him in the intro. This match was terrible. I'm sorry.
We got the ghost of Jericho, the ghost of the Hardys, and the ghost of RVD all in the first hour.
Jack Perry was wrestling a one-man match by himself. They just kept trying to do stuff, and the crowd is just not reacting to anything. They went through a commercial break. Van Dam hit a Van Daminator at one point, and I was amazed that Excalibur didn't call it. He calls everything, and he didn't call that. He did a Rolling Thunder, but he's like moving in slow motion. Yes. They did a spot where they went up to the top rope, and I think RVD was supposed to like push Perry off of the thing off onto a table, but Perry just jumped. Like he just literally jumped off the top rope and went through this table, and the crowd chanted "Holy shit!" And then RVD rolls him back in, and the ref got knocked out at one point, and then RVD's like falling over, like he can't even get up. Oh yeah, Perry nailed the ref with a chair. RVD hit an enziguri. He went for a 5-star, but Perry crotched him. Then he eye gouged him. Then that's when he went through the table. And then ref was still down, rolled him in the ring. I wrote down he hit the 2.75 star frog splash. Not quite a 5-star anymore. Ref's down, but Aubrey runs out full blast, and she makes the fall, but only gets 2. And then Perry nailed him in the nuts, threw him into a chair, and pulled up the tights to get the win. And yeah, this was
the most WWE finish to a match ever.
This was bad.
Yeah, my favorite was Trevor Dame of the ROH podcast through the years, saying we need RVD versus Hangman Adam Page in an oops sorry match, because I think RVD potatoed him on like the first 2 moves. This was bad. Boy, there's a part of me that could see Jericho being the guy for the FTW belt eventually, in terms of before we get to Hook.
Oh, like,
as
but not
savior
at
of ECW. No, not at Wembley.
I think I brought that up last week.
You did.
I might be wrong. Yeah,
I'm stealing that from you.
Okay, no, that's fine. I couldn't remember if I did or not. I know I thought of it.
I'm glad this wasn't on Wembley, and I hope we don't get it on Wembley.
Yeah, that was my originally when I thought, oh man, maybe they'll just do some sort of screw job
and
then
can't.
Do a
this
rematch.
could not. This would. I don't know. Maybe
the way they did it, they could do a rematch. I just hope. I
think they're going to do a rematch, and I think it might be like a cage.
Oh,
so that RVD can finally get that last move in.
Well, I mean, the plus to that would be 80,000 fans, sing and walk, because that crowd will sing it. Like this crowd,
we're already gonna get them singing Judas and Like a Prayer.
Yeah, and probably a million other things.
And they're just gonna have a big karaoke deal in Wembley.
That's what they love to do over there, and yes. I mean, and it's fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie. All right, we got Renee with the Lucha Bros and Alex Abrahantes. So he's got a symbol on his jacket. He says it's for brotherhood, and we wrestle to compete, but the Blackpool Combat Club wrestles to maim and hurt people. At this point, I'm like, whose manager are you? Because at this point, you're building up the Blackpool Combat Club. And Phoenix calls him, "You're the Blackpool Coward Club." I'm sure someone else has used that line before. And Penta says we're the best tag team in the universe, and that was it. Short and simple, I guess. Penta spoke in English, which is unusual. And he did some Spanish afterwards.
So Death Triangle means brotherhood.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Blackpool Combat Club is about maiming and hurting people.
And amity means friendship.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
MJF and Cole are out, and they come out to their awful mashup. MJF refers to them as the majestic Midwest. He points out that all that stuff you've seen about me calling the Midwest mid, that's all just doctored footage, fake news. And then he says, "As may God strike me down if what I'm saying is not the truth. My favorite place in the USA is the Midwest." And then he ducks like he's gonna get hit by lightning, and Cole does as well. That was funny. And then Cole says it's story time with Adam Cole. He said, "I'm going to beat you for your title at Wembley." Crowd didn't like that. And then he asked, do you want a promo battle? And the crowd's like, yay. And then Cole's like, no. But MJF just goes and he says, "You're so skinny and pale white. If this was the 80s, Hogan would have snorted you." That was
a fantastic line.
Yeah. And he called him a noodle arm, bobble-headed son of a, and then Cole stopped him. I was liking it at this point. And then MJF's like, my bad. And he says, I misread the situation. Cole says, "We're going to make history at Wembley. Let's go all in on making history. But you all want us as a tag team, right? And you'll love it if we have gold around our waist." And you know what? I wrote down the whole promo. I'll just cut to the chase. They're going to wrestle on 0 Hour for the ROH tag team titles against Aussie Open, which somehow world champion MJF, who doesn't like wrestling, who doesn't watch wrestling, who wrestles as little as possible, knows that the Aussie Open is the ROH Tag Team Champions, which he's probably one of 15 people in the world that know that. Yeah. So the biggest card in the history of the world with the biggest roster in the history of the world, and MJF and Adam Cole are wrestling twice on the show. Did I got that right?
Yes. I would have loved if MJF had said, "Yeah, what station is ROH on these days?" Why would he? Yes. why would MJF give a damn about the ROH tag titles? I know that Cole likes them.
Yeah, no, Cole explained why he likes them. You know, it's the one belt he's never won in ROH. Like I said, I mean, MJF doesn't care about anything other than his AEW title. So I guess maybe because he's friends with Cole and he wants to help Cole.
See, I might have to push back against Dan's statement that Cole turns on MJF during that tag match. I think they might win the tag titles and then he turns on him in the main event and then it becomes, oh, now we need a tournament. You know, that kind of thing. Because Tournament Tony loves his tournaments.
Or, you know, somehow this leads to the Kingdom getting the belts.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah.
They book the Kingdom against MJF and Cole, and that's where they do the churn.
Yeah, that could do it.
Yeah. And after Cole beats him for the title. So they're going to wrestle before the pay-per-view in Wembley. We have something called 0 Hour. We're going to challenge. So MJF's like, that's a great story. You want me to wrestle twice in one night? What are you, some kind of sick pervert? And the crowd's chanting, do it. And then he says, "Is people?" He had another line here. Normally, if someone tries to get me to wrestle more than once in a year, I'll hit them in the face with a soldering iron. I was like, okay. And then he says, but you know what? Daddy's a sucker for a cheap pop. So who wants to see MJF and Cole become the new AEW? Just kidding. The Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. The just kidding part was MJF, not me. And it didn't seem like it was.
And then he name dropped Columbus, Ohio for the Mick Foley pop.
And he said, screw it. By the powers invested in me as not just a scumbag, but your scumbag, Aussie Open at 0 Hour, we're challenging you to a match for your Ring of Honor world titles. You know why? Because we're better than you. And then Cole says, baby. And we got the match. But we're not done. Were we?
Can I mention how dumb it would be to do an angle on 0 Hour, which is a pre-show?
Yeah. Unless it's going to air on TNT or something.
Yeah, it's just these types of angles on pre-shows lose efficacy. Like I remember they did one, as much as I love the Dakota Kai turn at NXT War Games, if you didn't watch the pre-show to see that she was wearing NWO sweats when she was originally getting in the ambulance and stuff, you missed a lot of that nuance in it.
They did something on even in AEW. Remember we did our live pre-show one time, and there was we were doing a watch along basically, and they did angles on the show to set up what was going to happen on the pay-per-view.
I think that's a waste of time.
Well, it's not just a waste of time, but a lot of people aren't going to see it.
Yes, that's what I meant. That's why it's a waste of time.
Gotcha. Okay, my bad. Just like MJF, it's my bad.
No, I get it.
Read the situation.
And then we get Roddy coming out.
We get Roddy.
Oh, good Lord.
Roddy's screaming, Lord. Adam, like he's off camera, and Excalibur says, "Who's that?" And it's like, or I think it might have been Tony Schiavone. And I was like, "What do you mean, who's that? Have you been watching the show?" And of course it's Roddy. He comes out and he's got his neck brace on and he says, "I can't believe you want to win the ROH tag team belts with him, and I'm your best friend." And MJF calls him Roddy the Simp Strong, and he says, "I'm sick of your weirdo, jealous ex-girlfriend vibe. Do what you weird, generic white people always do in this situation. Go home, run up the stairs," and he's doing it in the cadence so the fans can chant what? "Slam your door, jump in your bed, cry in your pillow, put on your headphones, listen to Taylor Swift, and shake it off, you bland bitch."
Definitely in a WWE cadence. Yeah. I mean, that was noticeable to me.
Roddy.
Roddy absolutely destroyed here. And if see, this is the thing. If he's the mastermind and not Cole, that would be great. But that's not going to happen here. Boy, yeah. I mean, this was a thorough destruction of Roderick Cole, who, you know, I know in our Discord that they have been mentioning nobody should say anything about the Jews throwing or the
quarters,
the quarter thing. If someone's gonna do it, it'd be Roddy. Because I've seen a promo by him that almost did not get him signed to WWE and PWG.
Well, this time they have the excuse that MJF opened the door, but
yeah, they do. We'll see how this goes. I could give a crap about Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. I mean,
Roddy's trying to talk, and the crowd's chanting "Shake it off" at him, and then Roddy says,
"I thought they're gonna chant bland bitch at him." Instead, they went with "Shake it off." Okay.
Roddy says, "Adam, are you seriously gonna let him talk to me like that?"
Oh, that was such a bitch line.
Yeah. And then and he's, never mind, the Kingdom was right about you. You were never my friend. And he drops the mic, and the Kingdom come out and they hug him. And Cole's like, you know that's not true. And then MJF is like, why are you paying attention to that loser? And then Cole like shoved him, and he's like, what's your problem?
I liked this part.
Yeah, it was real.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. And then he says, what's your problem? I'm his friend too. And then he apologized, and the crowd's trying to hug it out, and they hugged. And Cole says, I got to go check on him now. And MJF is just, yeah, whatever. And he grabs his belt and he poses.
I'll note again, Kingdom went through one entrance, Cole went through another.
Oh, okay. And so which one did Cole go through?
Cole went through the babyface.
Oh, okay. And Dennis Owens says, I'm willing to believe this could set up Adam Cole being a step ahead of MJF and turning heel by ripping away what the fans want and making the Undisputed Kingdom.
Oh, yeah. No, this is definitely where it's going. I mean,
I think so.
Yeah.
It's possible that MJF...
Cole's been playing it the whole time.
It's possible that MJF is also ready for this, and that's what that whole contract thing was. So I still think there's something to do with that contract. That is going to come.
Yeah, I think it's probably, you know what it probably is. It's
I just hope we don't get a dusty finish.
See, but boy, this works a little bit better if Roddy's the brains behind everything. But who knows? Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to be shown that way. But yeah, Cole's turning on MJF, and MJF's going to be the babyface.
Yeah,
the scumbag babyface.
Yeah, your babyface.
Your scumbag babyface, yes.
We got a Collision highlight package, and Excalibur informs us, if we didn't know already, which given how many people watch Collision, probably not a lot of people knew. House of Black is going to be facing CMFTR for the Trios belts next week. That's an interesting one because
for it.
Well, it's going to be a great match, but I can't see anybody on that team on CMFTR getting pinned.
I think Joe's going to come out and pretty much ruin the match. And
okay, that could
Punk
be
in some way, and then that'll lead to whatever finish there is.
Punk could eat a pin, yeah.
What will be, because house rules are back, baby.
Oh my God, that was something that because I thought they were done, and then it's like I literally think they forgot the last time. Like I think that's literally what happened. They forgot.
Guys, we have this house rule thing. Oh yeah, what the?
Yeah, and then it's Julia's barred from ringside, which they've already used. They've because I was reading.
We are not being creative when we're coming up with our own steps.
No, because there's been 3 of House Rules matches. 2 of them have involved Julia being kicked out, and I think the third one was like, we don't need the rules or something. Like he was acclaimed, right? They said, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna have a straight match." So we got the next one. This was the only thing resembling a decent match on the show. Blackpool Combat Club and the Lucha Bros. They did the entrance during the commercial, which is probably smart because it's kind of a babyface entrance for the Wild Thing. And there's no heat early, but they eventually got the crowd. Where it actually picked up was when Moxley just got in the middle of the ring and telling Penta just hit him. And then they just chopped the shit out of each other and punched and forearms and everything for like a minute straight. And it was almost like a G1 kind of thing. And the crowd was like super into it by that point. And then they kind of had their match, and they kind of fell apart a little bit. Phoenix
fell apart a lot, but okay.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough. Wheeler was just freely interfering all over the place, and then finally Alex pulled him off the apron. Phoenix did a dive onto him, and then Mox rolled up Penta and pulled the trunks for the win, which is all we saw and all the announcers called. But what they completely missed, and what the camera missed, was that Mox had ripped off his mask, which is like a really important part of the match.
Yes,
they completely screwed that up. Like I don't, and they pointed it out like a minute later, but it was still pretty bad, And then they beat him on him after the match and cut a promo, but I don't know. Match was, it's the best match of the show, but that's not saying much on this show.
But what is this in service of? Because how are the Lucha Brothers going to get this one back in any way? Because we're putting Moxley with Orange Cassidy, maybe all out.
Who's Penta's best friend?
Pac, but he's out.
Nope.
Oh.
You don't remember, do you?
No.
Eddie Kingston.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's what this is leading to.
Okay.
Yeah. That's and we're gonna get Mox. The rumor is, I think Dave mentioned it on Wrestling Observer Radio, and I'd heard
Lucha
it
Brothers
as well.
and Eddie Kingston versus.
No, it's the Blackpool Combat Club against Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, and someone else.
Okay, and then that'll lead to the singles match at All Out for
with Moxley and Cassidy. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
no, that's fine.
And then maybe we get whoever the someone else is teaming up with, or with Eddie, against the Blackpool Combat Club. Or maybe we get Eddie.
I figured it out. It's gonna be Mask versus Hair, Claudio and Penta.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, because Claudio put on. What is this?
Claudio doesn't have any hair.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he looked good in that match.
Thank you for selling that. I appreciate it. Boy, the Lucha Brothers. Sometimes that was the worst spike pile driver I've ever seen, because the spike game and then Excalibur had to go delayed pile driver there.
Yeah, that delayed pile driver was something else.
Overall this is good, but it was just it felt very spotty to me, and that's okay at times. Yeah. I just wasn't in the mood for it right then.
Well, I was just glad to see some wrestling. The only other thing we'd seen.
That's very true.
Yeah. We saw that awful Bucks Hardys match, and we saw
like the Abrahante. For some reason, the Abrahante's Yuta spot drove me nuts. Because it looked so fake.
Did we only get 3 matches on this show?
Yes, I think so.
Holy
you got the women. You got the women's. Well, no, you got the women's match. You got the Hardys match. You got the Penta match.
Oh, 4. The
RVD match.
Yeah, RVD.
And then you got
one I forgot about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Excalibur pitched to a segment with Swerve, but instead it was actually Alex Marvez with Kenny Omega in the hall, which seems like a bit of a big star to just kind of forget that he was going to be having a segment. And he reminds him it's a Bucks versus FTR Wembley. What's going on with you? And Kenny says, well, next week I'm going to sit down with JR and talk about my future. And we're going to talk about Callis. We're going to talk about Takeshita. And we're going to talk about what I'm going to do at Wembley. And then he kind of walked off. And then Alex is like, do you got a scoop for me?
Alex, a terrible reporter here, because why is Kenny there with his gear if he doesn't have a match?
Who? What? Oh, yeah. Well, he's probably wrestling on Rampage.
Well,
although they didn't tell us that.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess next week he's probably going to announce in that sit down that he's wrestling Takeshita.
Whoo! Wow, what a shocker that is. But I think that there's a possibility that that's a multi-person match that leads to Takeshita versus Omega.
Yeah, could be.
Like the Callis family versus Jericho, Omega, and whoever.
So Alpha Omega here asks, is it just me or did Kenny look like shit?
No, it's not just you. He looked bad.
But I think it might have been by design, because he's still recovering from blood and
guts. It's hard to look that sleep deprived without. He might have gone method. He might have just stayed up all night just to tape that promo. Because man, yeah.
Is that the only reason they brought him here? Well, I guess he's an EVP, so he needs to be there for his EVP duties.
With his suitcase?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So we're going to find out next week. JR is back, by the way. We didn't mention that earlier. He was on Collision, and he's going to be doing a sit down with Kenny.
Yeah, he wasn't bad.
No,
Collision.
You know what? JR for the main events is just fine. Like that's the perfect use for him, and then do these sit downs. I'm sure that thing with Kenny next week is going to be fine. If JR is interested in what he's commenting on, he's actually good. All right, Mogul Embassy was out. I don't know if you noticed this. Bishop Khan looked like he wanted to be just about anywhere other than where he was, or was that just me? Or maybe that's just the character he's playing? But he just looked like he didn't want to be there. When he came out, you didn't notice?
Maybe that was interesting. Everybody looked like they were in a gang except for Tonga Loa here.
Tonga Loa. Yeah, they're all dressed like they're from the street.
Tonga Loa looked like he was ready for a bloodline feud or something.
Yeah, well, he's auditioning maybe. Yeah. And Nana tells the crowd to shut up, even though they haven't said anything yet, and that actually woke them up.
Also, slightly disappointed. Big Bill's not an official part of the embassy here, but that's me.
I think he's in a faction, or maybe not. He tells you, stupid folks, shut your faces up. And then Swerve grabs the mic.
Stupid fools. I just love somebody calling somebody else fools. I think that's such a comic book throwback type thing.
Swerve says, you didn't believe me earlier this year when I said we were going to take over. Well, look at us now. And I'm thinking, Did you? Like, you're feuding with Nick Wayne. You know, he's literally like an 18-year-old kid.
They've
But
taken over the mid card.
yeah, last week we proved a point visiting the Buddy Wayne Academy and putting the fear of God in Nick Wayne. And people are asking, are some authority going to do something about it? No, we own the authority and we're above the law. In Seattle, they know whose house it is. Whose house? Swerve's house. And AR called. He says, Darby, enough of this. Get out here. And so out comes Darby. He didn't even come out to his music. And he says, Fox, tell the people the whole story. I tried calling you. You never answered. I lived with you and your demons. I didn't even know if you were going to survive. There's only one person that could save you. I like that they actually explain this. And he
Did
says,
you?
Look, yeah, I did. I did, actually.
I kind of liked the thought
he's a baby face.
Well, yeah, but I also kind of liked the thought that, well, maybe Darby was too busy to call.
Well, I mean, I think it's more like,
and that the bad guy does have a reason, but it's an over the top thing as opposed to, you're lying. I called you.
Can we take this another step further and say perhaps Prince Nana got in his head and said, Darby, he fed him all this when meanwhile Air Fox is dealing with his own demons. He doesn't even remember what happened.
You could have done it that way, but not.
Yeah,
that wasn't done in this promo.
No, but I think it was implied because he did say the only person that could save you is you. And he said, so no matter what you did to me.
Hold on. When have we ever been told that AR Fox had demons?
Here tonight.
All right. I'm quitting. That's it. See you later.
He says, I respect you, Fox. No matter what you do to me, you changed my life. He says, but I got new friends, or you have new friends, but you got to remember, I have new friends too. And then lights go out for a long time. And the people put on their things, and Tony Schiavone calls attention to it, and he's about to have a cornery because he's waiting to do it. Sting.
He's trying to build up that Sting thing so slowly, and they're not turning on the lights for him. No. It's almost like a rib.
Well, because he had to get out there, and poor Sting is like,
you can also hear him. I think he tripped getting in the ring. I think.
So lights come back on, and he's in there with his bat, and he clears the ring all by himself. And then Tony's like, he's back from injury. I didn't even remember he was injured. I guess he must have got injured on that ladder spot.
Oh, the tables thing with Jericho and Sammy.
But I mean, he's gone for months at a time anyways. If they hadn't told us he was injured, I don't even think he would.
I don't think it would have mattered. No.
But so Sting ends up in there alone with Swerve, and he nailed him in the lower region, and he pointed to the All-In sign, and I assumed at that point that it was Sting and Darby against Swerve and Fox, which is a cool match, and honestly, it's the best built match on this show so far for All-In, don't you think? It's the only one that they've actually put any thought into building.
Yeah, because it was an actual angle that they did.
Yeah.
To get here. Although, God help me, if they bring out Nick Wayne halfway through this match and he turns heel, I will hate everybody.
You've been watching too much WWE. That's not going to happen.
I know.
I mean, but I'm not going to lie to you. My brain went there too. But they're insane if they do that.
I agree.
Yeah. Rampage. We're going to get Darby and Brian Cage. That's going to be fun. And I'm not joking. Saray and Sky Blue for a spot in that 4-way, and Orange Cassidy against Johnny TV, which is going to be fun. Rampages can't miss. I'm telling you.
Oh, well, 2 of the 3 can't miss. Yeah. That's Sky Blue versus Saraya match. That's going to be a battle.
Poor Sky Blue. They put her on a winning streak a while ago, and
that.
now she's just losing to set people up for bigger matches.
Yeah.
I don't get that. Ever since she became all elite.
Yeah.
And then on Collision, House of Black.
I do think that Brian Cage match is going to, because Brian Cage is going to want to get his stuff in.
Oh, yeah.
In addition to it. So it's going to be one of the, I mean, it might suffer from Brian Cage's lack of knowledge of Newton and the laws of physics in some ways. But it should be fun until
I swear we've seen this match before, and it's good.
I agree. Yeah.
Collision, House of Black against CMFTR. The Acclaimed is going to be in action. You ever notice, the Acclaimed is always just in action? They never have actual opponents. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And
because that's how you have to book the Acclaimed.
True. Yeah. And Mercedes and Diamante against Willow and Chris Statlander, where the winning team is
Diamante's going to lose. And it's just, Okay.
And then we're not going to see her again for another year.
Exactly.
And she'll be back on ROH as a babyface.
Probably. She's back.
Yeah. Dynamite next week. MJF and Adam Cole are going to talk. I mean, that's literally what they said. Kenny is going to sit down with JR, and Bunny versus Britt Baker.
Man, this Dynamite is shaping up to be a one for the ages, isn't it?
Well, Nick Wayne and Darby Allin against the Gates of Agony. That's gonna rock.
Hold on. Now I like that match. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Nick Wayne should be outselling this injury through Wembley if the match is going to be Sting and Darby versus Swerve and AR Fox. Otherwise, it should be 6-man or 8-man or whatever with Nick Wayne somehow involved in this if he's able to come back. You can't have that both ways. You can't say we've done this brutal beatdown of Nick Wayne only to get to Darby and Sting versus AR Fox and Swerve, and then have Nick Wayne that next week. Hey, back everybody. How come I'm not a part of that match? And he turns on Darby.
Oh God, I hope not. And more matches will be announced on Rampage. All in, MJF and Adam Cole, FTR against the Hardys, Darby and Sting against Swerve and AR Fox in a coffin match. And a 4-way for the women's title. Tony against the winner of the 3 qualifying matches, one of which is tonight's main event. Hikaru Shida and Anna Jay.
Oh, I was going to say not yet announced. Jeff Jarrett versus.
Remember the scene from remember the movie Bambi? Remember Thumper's mom? If you can't say something nice.
I just love that stuff because I always use Thumper's mom as just a drop. It's like, okay, what do you think of that, Thumper's mom?
Yeah. I mean, we could end the show now.
Remember Bambi?
Yeah. We could end the show now.
That classic movie
that
every child was traumatized by. Yes, I remember Bambi.
Yeah, Thumper's mom. If you can't say something nice. 2.0 at ringside for Anna. They went through a break. Crowd did not care one bit about this match. Jay was like moving around in slow motion, like it was her first day of wrestling school. She's doing these slow motion kicks. Shida was having to sell them. She was going to hit a move off a chair, but Parker got in the way and blocked it.
By the way, I love that you said if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, and then you proceed to all your criticisms of this match.
Well, I said I could just end the show. Like that's what was the point I was making. I didn't even
call you out on that, Paul. That's all.
Yeah,
I'm going to get into mine in a bit.
Jay went for a Queen.
I do that. If you can't say anything nice, sit next to me. It's
true.
Funny that way.
Jay went for a Queen Slayer, then she didn't hit it, and Shida tried a Falcon Arrow. Then Jay finally got the Queen Slayer and tried for the ropes, and then she lost the grip on them, and then finally Shida made the ropes. Jay pulled her back to the middle of the ring and put it on again. Shida climbed the ropes with her on her back, dropped to her back. Then she hit the Falcon Arrow for 2. Nobody cared. And she hit the Katana, got 3, except Parker was trying to break it up, but Anna Jay didn't move. And I don't know what was going on there. I don't know if I think he was supposed to break up an earlier one, maybe.
I think they were supposed to land out of arm's reach.
Oh, okay, maybe. But he was right there.
Yeah.
And then the ref just counted anyways, and Anna Jay didn't move. And then Shida just said, "I'm coming, Wembley," to the camera, and that was it. Not a good match, unfortunately.
To the management of AEW, should anybody be listening by any chance?
Hey, we're free on YouTube. They might be.
It is not too late to send Anna Jay on an excursion and get her to be where you want her to be.
Can I give you an answer to that I know what your answer to me is going to be?
She has personality.
No, I'm going to say, what if she says no, and you're going to say it's not an option?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I will tell you, she can offer training at the Nightmare Academy. She can offer, I'll work a few indies here and there.
Defy.
No. Excursion.
Stardom.
Get away from the comfort zone and train this woman for a couple years, or even, a few months if you need to.
NXT.
I will also say this. I love women's wrestling. I do.
Especially when it's good.
Oh, God. Don't ruin my dramatic pause there, Paul. Damn it.
I do that to you all the time.
For big moments and big matches, practice random acts of making sure your gear is functional.
Well, I wasn't sure if you're going to go there, but yeah.
I'm going to go there because it doesn't just happen with Anna.
No.
Who was desperately fighting for her life in that way of keeping her top on during this match. It happens to Ronda. It happened to two of my favorites in Mia Yim and Nicole Matthews in the it looks good.
Charlotte last week.
Charlotte at SummerSlam. Yes, it looks good when you try it on backstage. Go work out in the ring a little bit, somewhat. Yeah, I mean, look, Athena's. I mean, to read the comment and then I'll go into that.
No, just go ahead.
Athena is doing the best work of her life right now in ROH, and she's awesome. Bring her up. She's ready for TV, please. Emi Sakura's out there still not being used in any way.
Is she even around? Like, I think she might be back in Japan. I'm not sure though.
I thought I saw her tweeting out something on the States because she went out to eat out here. But yeah,
catering.
I'm stalking Emi Sakura all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, this match, Hikaru Shida is looking to be the linchpin of this division, unless we're just going to give the title right back to Britt Baker. I'm not sure what they're planning to do here, but it's one of those two things. This would not have been my first defense for Hikaru Shida.
Yeah, I mean, really, did she even need to? The first defense,
unless she's gonna murder Death Anna Jay.
Yeah, the first defense could have been at Wembley. Honestly,
could have been, or
Marina Shafir. Like, you know,
I don't even need a name. I just need Hikaru Shida to go through her like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah. In which case, it probably shouldn't be.
They could have put Tay out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take.
Well, no.
No, you could have done that. That'd been mean.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's a lot of women there. Red Velvet, you know, anybody.
God, bring back Red Velvet.
Yeah. What's Layla Gray doing?
She's improved quite a bit.
Layla
Gray?
Yeah, bring in a local. They were in Columbus, Ohio. They could have
Layla Gray would have been perfect here to just kill.
Haley J, you know her?
No.
She's in Novi W. She's
Harley Cameron would have been fine.
She's got something. Haley J's got something. I hope she gets signed.
I'll take your word for it.
Hollywood Haley J. She's also in Women of Wrestling right now, so maybe she can't be on AEW. I'm not sure. But she used to wrestle dark every once in a while.
That's fine. I think the point is I don't think I wanted a competitive match per se.
No. And I mean, I guess
and I didn't want a competitive match that was a bad match. And this wasn't very good.
No. I mean, it was and it just wasn't the right.
And in her defense, I think Anna Jay was just concentrating on the order of the moves, and you could feel that in the way she was.
And then also
hitting turnbuckles and stuff.
Yeah, and then also having to worry about her top.
Yeah.
So so between those,
there's a lot of stuff on her mind.
Yeah, and then selling and showing emotion and stuff like that.
Yes,
just was not high on their priority list.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't a great match, but you know what? The one good thing I'll say about this show, and my other podcast partner Ryan Frederick pointed this out to me. At least you can't complain about not building to All In, because that's all they did on this show was build to All In. Now, was the build any good? That's not. That's not necessarily a question. Someone on Twitter asked me.
I'm interested in the quarter hours on this one. I want to see what the women's match does.
I will tell you what the quarter hours are going to be. It's going to peak for that MJF Adam Cole promo, and it's going to drop like a rocket from there.
Okay. No, I think that's fair. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah. And I think like that first quarter is going to lose a lot of viewers. And normally that first quarter is the biggest, but I bet you they open, and by the second quarter, they're way down because I just.
Do you think the Jericho segment turned off a lot of people?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they'll come back for MJF.
Yes.
Yeah. So that, I know for me personally, like when I'm out of town and I'm like watching a hotel room or something, and I know at key points when things are going to be on. So I'll go back to the show at, like 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30.
And I don't think people come back for the Hardys or RVD, no matter the nostalgia value, because I think the nostalgia value has been played with all those acts.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, our Hardys are long past. I mean, and RVD, I mean, I suppose
RVD's been in Impact. He's been in WWE. He's done the circuit.
The nostalgia was last week when he showed up.
Yes.
I mean, that's literally, you want to hear the music, and that's it. Someone on Twitter like took exception to me calling the Swerve match the best built match, and he says, "Has it been a better build than FTR and Young Bucks?"
Yes.
Yeah. Has it been better than MJF and Cole? I mean, that's, depends. I mean,
the build for FTR and Young Bucks is them saying each other's name on a microphone.
The build for MJF and Cole was MJF saying, "You deserve this title shot. Here you go." Like, I mean, right?
And dodgeball.
Yeah. But that wasn't building a match. That was building a friendship.
That was building a friendship.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we got through it, man. 90 minutes. And I think we hopefully did okay. Hopefully, I know there's quite a few people watching, so hopefully you enjoyed the show. And if you're listening on Patreon, thank you again. And again, if you are listening on or if you're watching on YouTube and you're not subscribed to the Fight Game Media Patreon, just go to patreon.com/Fight Game Media, as you see on the screen there. And you can there's two different tiers. You can get the basic one, which just gets you all the audio for $5 a month, at least one show a day and bonus content every once in a while. And then for $10 a month, you get some bonus perks that are all described there, including a monthly hang with your Fight Game Media podcast hosts. So Jeff, tell the good people some of the other stuff that you do.
At CrapGame13 on Twitter, mostly arcane references and bad jokes about wrestling. I do a show called Shake Them Roast with Chris Novembrino on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Kind of a snarky look at the week that was in stateside wrestling. This week, ice cold takes on not the Great American Bash, on SummerSlam, what they did on Raw, and then, of course, we'll see what Chris thought of Dynamite and NXT this week.
All right. And me, I am on I'm on the In the Clinch, the MMA podcast on this Patreon now. Yeah, I was going to say the free feed, but we don't have a free feed anymore. So it's on the Fight Game Media Patreon with Ryan Frederick, and that is now on Wednesdays. So I do that show, drops in the morning, and then we do this one at night, and then it shows up in your Patreon feed on Thursday morning. So if you can check that out. And this week we talked about the upcoming UFC, including giving our best bets and some fights to watch that Ryan is confident in. So you can check that out. And I want to thank you all for listening and watching, and we'll be back next week. So for Jeff, I'm Paul, and this has been the Dynamite Show.